service, they'll also be taking part in the rather more formal street lining and the formal events that take place in the processions. Because, how can I explain this? It's not a state event today. It may look like one and feel like one, but it's not a formal state event. It's not the heir apparent who's getting married, as Prince Charles did back in 1981. So you don't have the full regalia and the full procession happening on the way to the Abbey. It's happening on the way back. There is a very strict distinction here. Unmistakably, the band of the Royal Marines, who are also preparing to march to their agreed position. They will today be, they'll be playing for us on Horse Guards Avenue later on, and then making their way to Parliament Square. More guests arriving at Westminster Abbey. And we're looking forward to seeing some of those more prominent guests. I'm told that the Beckhams have just arrived, so we may catch a glimpse of the Beckhams. Why don't we all have a little look out for them as these images develop? Some very prominent sports people included, and of course, given the help we had earlier from Katie Nicholl, we'll also be trying to spot some of the close friends of the royal couple. This is a good area for us to look at because this is the north transept, and I'm told that quite a few of the friends will be seated in this area, and there'll be also members of the Middleton family. That's a good view for us. So over to the left, if you go over to the far left, that's the north transept, and that'll be where we'll see quite a few of the friends. The area we're looking at, which looks like a bit of a crossroads, it is a crossroads, it's called the Lantern. That's the great theatrical area that was constructed here really for coronations. It's the crossing really at the heart of Westminster Abbey, just before the high altar. We can see the two pairs of felt stools or kneelers that have been put there for the bride and groom, ready for the service a little later on. They'll be married by the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the service will be conducted in effect by the Dean of Westminster. He's the man who's in charge of the spiritual life of Westminster Abbey, and he's the man who's answerable to the sovereign. But the Archbishop of Canterbury will be performing the actual wedding service. So how does all this fit in? Let me give you an idea then of how the route will develop so that when we see the images it'll all make sense to us, hopefully. There we have Buckingham Palace and the great expanse of St James's Park and the lake. It's been a royal park since the 17th century. So that part of London hasn't really changed a great deal in terms of the green area. Up the Mall, turn right, down onto Horse Guards Parade, through the archway, turn right again, onto Whitehall, past Downing Street, past the Cenotaph, past Big Ben, across Parliament Square, Long Broad Sanctuary, and then to the Great West Door. Just to remind you, the guests we're seeing are arriving at the North Door, but the very important people arriving at the Great West Door of the Abbey. So we have caught a glimpse of them. There we are, David and Victoria Beckham. And David Beckham very proud of the role he played, really, in trying to get the World Cup to England for 2018. It was a failed attempt, but he worked very closely with Prince William on that, and they got to know each other very well. Prince William, of course, patron of the Football Association since 2006. So they had a lot to talk about. Disappointment at the end of that process. A bit of controversy too, I might say, about the way that decision was made. But anyway, that's not a matter for today. What's happening today is that they're pleased to be here to take part in this celebration. Victoria Beckham, who said some very complimentary things about Catherine Middleton, and we're even told that she's lent us some dresses. Not sure whether Catherine Middleton needed them, but there you go. It's all a matter of friendship and sharing. So David Beckham and Victoria will be taking their place, I think, in the nave. They won't be at the top end near the high altar. They'll be in the nave with some of the other guests. Outside, great sense of expectation building up, and the band's adding so much to the atmosphere. I always think that when the bands turn up, it's all getting started, and crowds certainly love that. So to get a sense of the atmosphere, let's join Fern.
Paula, I won't ask where you're from, it's quite clear. Canadian flags are flying here with your mum and auntie. Are you having a nice day so far?
Absolutely, this is one of the most exciting days of my life.
Now, you've got little Keris, your baby here, who is sleeping through a marching band, unbelievably.
Yes, she's 9 months and she's been out here all night.
Is she okay? Did you have a good night's sleep?
Yes, we did. She slept through the night and now she's making up for whatever sleep she didn't get, so.
I cannot believe she is sleeping through this marching band. So you've got a great position here. What are you most excited to see?
I'm most excited to see the kiss, obviously.
You've got the best view in the house.
Absolutely. It's going to be the most magical moment of the day for us, so we're really
And is this your first trip to the UK?
No, it's about my third, so really excited.
Loving these badges as well.
Yes, I came when I was 13 years old.
And right, show the camera.
Came when I was 13 years old in hopes of meeting Diana, never did, and so this is my chance to get close to her again.
Well, look, Paula and family and little Keris, have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Well, that was a nice contribution. There'll be plenty more of those as the morning goes on, so thanks to Fern for that. Do I need to underline that this takes a lot of planning, and lots of that planning being done at Clarence House, which is where the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall live, and where they also share that residence with Prince William and with Prince Harry. Clarence House is just really a stone's throw away from Buckingham Palace. It's been a royal residence for 170 years, and there we have a glorious view of Clarence House, Lancaster House to the left, and then St James's Palace to the right. So that's Clarence House, and that's where we'll see Harry and William emerging, I think in about, well, less than an hour now, probably about 10:10. All the planning has been going on since last October, last November, and for those of us who've been involved in trying to get details and information about it, we know how detailed that planning is. It's down to the last second, and Sophie's talking to someone who knows exactly how that process works. Sophie.
You, I certainly am. I'm joined here by Colleen Harris, who was the former press secretary to Prince William, particularly over very difficult years, the years following his mother's death, and also when he began university. I mean, how much planning has gone into a day like this?
I can't imagine, actually. And a very short period of time, actually, since the engagement. But yes, I did join the household after Princess Diana died, actually. So a very difficult time for the household, a very difficult time for William. And our work centred around protecting him from the media during that time, so that he and Harry could have some time to grieve, I suppose, and also to develop in private.
And those were very important years, weren't they, for him? I mean, how did you see him change from the teenager he was into the young man that he was when he started university?
Yes, in fact, yes, I joined when he was 15. But William has always been a very thoughtful, sensitive young man. So even at 15, he was very questioning. So, you know, I couldn't just say, well, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that. He'd always come back with a question, a very probing question. So he was always quite guarded and very cautious. But I think over the years he's built a stronger relationship with the media. He's built in confidence as well. He's much more assured and probably still a little bit suspicious of people, but has got a good crowd around him now to support him.
And that time that he was allowed and the privacy he's been afforded in the following years will probably really set him in good stead, won't it, for the role that he's got ahead and the huge spotlight, the glare?
I think so, because I think the drip approach that we took in introducing him to the media, I think it will have paid off now. So rather than having that massive onslaught that perhaps his mother had to endure, which is quite difficult, I think, to get used to very quickly, he's done it over a period of years. So he has got used to it, and he accepts now that the media has to be part of his life.
Well, he's certainly been looking very relaxed in the few glimpses we've had of him recently. But Colleen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Back to you, Hugh.
Sophie and Colleen, thank you very much. A word about today's service, the formal service at the heart of everything, those officiating, because it follows a long-established tradition. As I mentioned, the Dean of Westminster will welcome everyone to the service. The Bishop of London, who's Dean of the Chapels Royal, a personal friend of the Prince of Wales, he will give the address. But the marriage ceremony will be conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Owen Williams. His official residence is Lambeth Palace. That's not far away either, just across the Thames. That's where he met the couple on several occasions and advised them on how they should approach today's service. And I asked Dr. Williams for his impressions, and I spoke to him just a few days ago.
I always look forward to weddings, and this is a really rather special one. And just getting to know the couple a little bit and seeing how they think about it has really been a very positive thing.
How do they strike you?
They strike me as deeply sensible, realistic, but also people with strong ideals about marriage and about other things. They haven't wanted a great kind of all singing, all dancing extravaganza. They wanted something simple and clear, but they've also wanted something with obvious traditional roots and associations.
Part of that tradition in the past has been that the bride promises to obey the husband.
That's right, though of course that's been optional for quite a long time really, and it would be a rather rare wedding these days in which that particular traditional form was used, so I wasn't at all surprised that that wasn't on the cards.
We're thinking of a global audience of maybe 2 billion people, which clearly adds pressure on lots of people, including yourself.
Just a little, though. I have done weddings before, and even with a special one, there's something always very intimate about the important moments of a marriage, when you really are just speaking to two people. And however large the congregation, however large the global audience, essentially this is about two people making a hugely important, deeply personal commitment, and it has to be personal for them. And part of my responsibility in the service is to make it